All right, guys, so it's that time of the year for me to put my credibility on the line as a draft analyst. I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best quarterbacks in the upcoming 2024 NFL draft. And we're either going to look back on these rankings in 4 or 5 years, and I'm either going to look like a genius or a flaming idiot. I'm hoping that I look like a genius. I'm pretty confident in my evaluations of these quarterbacks this year. We're starting off with Jordan Travis from Florida State. He comes in at number 10. He has improved a lot over his last couple of years at Florida State. There used to be a point when he first started out for the Noles when he came in sparingly as a Wildcat quarterback. And every time he came in early in his career, you always knew he was going to run the football. He wasn't really a threat at all with his arm. But over the last 2 years, he has really come along really impressively as a passer. He also is a really good leader, hard worker. The players love him. And I just think with that injury that he suffered, it was a really big hindrance to Jordan Travis being able to further improve his draft stock because before that injury, I had him graded as a 6-7 rounder. And now after the injury, I don't even know if he's even going to get drafted. But just because he may go undrafted doesn't still mean he can't have a good career. I think he can come in, be a solid backup. Maybe he can come be somewhat of a gadget guy, use him a little bit as a receiver or decoy in certain formations. But overall, he has potential to be a pretty decent backup in the league. He can extend plays. He's a really good athlete. Outside of Jayden Daniels, he's the best quarterback in this class with the ball in his hands when he decides to tuck and run. And if he improves in the NFL as a quarterback inside of the pocket, his accuracy improves also. He gets better at throwing with better timing and anticipation. This is one of these late round gems who you potentially could find if you're a team that's in search of a reliable backup who gives you a little bit of wow and flavor when it comes to dual threat ability. Joe Milton comes in at number 9 for me. He lit up the NFL Combine. A lot of people were really impressed with how well Joe Milton threw the football, and everybody knows that Joe Milton has one of the strongest arms in the history of football. All right. It doesn't even matter if he gets drafted or goes undrafted. As soon as he officially is a member of the NFL, he's going to have the strongest arm in the league. The question is, can he carve out a career where he could potentially be one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Because that's his upside. You talk about boomer bust prospects, it doesn't get any more boomer bust than Joe Milton. If this guy can go to the right team with the right head coach, let's say Sean McVay or the Rams, and he can help Joe Milton improve his mechanics, get better at throwing the ball with accuracy and anticipation, with how good of an athlete he is. He's not Anthony Richardson, but he does have pretty good size. He's 6'5", 235 pounds, and he has enough athleticism that you can utilize him on design quarterback runs, read options, QB sneaks, tush pushes if you want to utilize him in that direction. Joe Milton, the problem with him is that he's a big project. The footwork isn't great. His mechanics aren't great. You're pretty much trying to rebuild this dude from the ground up. But with how gifted of an arm this dude has and how great of an arm talent he is, if you're a guy who's a really confident offensive-minded coach, you look at Joe Milton with all these physical tools and you say, you know, we bring him in for 3-4 years and maybe we can have a decent starting quarterback on our hands. And then once he becomes a starter, he can improve and maybe become a top 10 quarterback. Joe Milton, really intriguing quarterback prospect who comes in at number 9 on my top 10 quarterback rankings for 2024. Sam Hartman, I have him at number 8. If you're looking for a quarterback who's really good in structure, really accurate, has a little bit of mobility, Sam Hartman is your guy. My comp for him is Gardner Minshew. Really scrappy. He has played a lot of years in college football, so you're getting somebody who, yeah, he's up there in age, but he's also really experienced. He knows how to run a pro-style offense because Notre Dame runs somewhat of a NFL-style offense. So the transition from college football to the NFL shouldn't be that difficult for Sam Hartman. What is going to make the transition for Sam Hartman a little bit difficult and why he projects as a low-end starter, maybe a high-end backup at the NFL level, is that he doesn't have a good arm. He can't really throw the football in tight windows. He doesn't really throw a great deep ball. His deep balls look a little wobbly. But in terms of looking for a really good starting quarterback, well, a good backup quarterback, Sam Hartman definitely fits the mold of that. And if you're looking for somebody who maybe could be a low-end starter potentially, Sam Hartman, if you can groom him for maybe 2 years, he could become that for you. But I don't see him any more better than that. A guy who, if he reaches his ceiling, he can start a few games for you. Maybe he can be a bridge quarterback until you can find a better successor. Sam Hartman, I really liked watching him at Wake Forest. When he went to Notre Dame last year, the expectations for him were pretty high, and I'm not going to say he disappointed, but you just expected a little bit more for somebody who has had all these years starting in college football for his final season to be a little bit more impressive statistically. But he's a solid quarterback prospect, and I have him at number 8. JJ McCarthy is in at number 7. Now, the JJ McCarthy arguments are really interesting because fans are not high on this dude at all. Many of us believe that he's not good, he's very raw, he's very toolsy, and he should have went back to Michigan for another season. The NFL world, the scouts, general managers, front office executives, though, they have way different opinions from what the media and fans have. NFL executives feel like JJ McCarthy is good enough to be a potential top 10, top 15 pick. And you definitely can understand why. He has really good athleticism, very good size, and a very good arm. And he had the second strongest velocity behind Joe Milton when he threw the ball 61 miles per hour. Joe Milton threw the ball 41 miles per hour. Well, 61 miles per hour, excuse me. The thing with JJ McCarthy is that with him being so raw, you wonder if you can put him in the right system and he can land with the right head coach who can help him in his development, because he definitely isn't a day one starter. He definitely has to sit a year or two. And then if you give him the right pieces around him with the right scheme, I definitely can see him becoming a really good quarterback. I don't see him becoming an elite quarterback. I don't really see that kind of skill set. I see somebody who's good enough to be a good game manager, a high-end game manager at that. He can lead you to the playoffs. Maybe you win a playoff game or two with him. But I don't see anything from JJ McCarthy from a potential standpoint that screams to me, oh, he can become one of the best quarterbacks in the league. His floor is really low. Potentially, he could be not even good enough to be a starter. He could be a backup. That's how low his floor is. His ceiling, though, top 12, top 11 quarterback, high-end game manager. JJ McCarthy comes in at number 7. At number 6, I have Michael Penix Jr. He started his college career at Indiana. He had several season-ending injuries. He transfers to Washington. He's been healthy for the last 2 years, no injury concerns. But when you think about all of the injuries that Michael Penix has suffered, he definitely isn't the same athlete now that he once was when he started out at Indiana. So he's really limited in terms of what you can do with him. You won't really be able to get creative with him in the run game. He has a little bit of mobility, but at the NFL level, probably not enough where defenses have to account for it. And he's more so of a bigger, stronger version of Tua Tagovailoa. I think that he can perform really well in the offense that's predicated on timing and structure. He does that pretty well. He throws one of the best deep balls out of all the quarterbacks in this class. The thing that kind of makes me a little bit concerned about Michael Penix is that he plays a little bit unorthodox in a sense. And what I mean by that is, it's really weird watching him play. Sometimes he doesn't look comfortable when he's under a lot of pressure. Go back to that game against Michigan. But when he's operating out of a clean pocket, he's like poetry in motion. And people don't like his footwork and his mechanics. But anytime you look at a left-handed quarterback, it's always weird just looking at how they go about their process of throwing the football. And I really don't have too much of a big issue about Michael Penix's mechanics. My problem with him is, at the NFL level, is he going to be able to go through his progressions? Is he going to get better at taking what the defense gives him? But I really would like him with Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. That would be a match made in heaven. I definitely think that Michael Penix is what Sean Payton would be looking for in a quarterback. I don't know if you would invest the first round selection in Michael Penix. Many people believe that he's a lock for the first round. I don't really believe that, just with the durability concerns. Yes, you can sell teams on the fact that he has been healthy for 2 straight years, but nobody's going to overlook several season-ending injuries that you sustain back to back to back. You feel me? So it's just from a risk standpoint, if you're going to invest the first round pick into a quarterback, you rather take JJ McCarthy in the first round than Michael Penix, only because of the durability concerns, because first round selections are a really big investment. And you definitely don't want to risk that high of an investment on somebody who you don't really know is going to be able to be dependable for you. But Michael Penix upside, I don't think he'll be a high-end elite quarterback, but he can definitely be like a top 8 quarterback, a Pro Bowler caliber QB that can win you a few games in the playoffs, maybe win you a Super Bowl if you give him a great team. So I got Michael Penix in that Michael at number 6. Does it piss you off how much you pay for your monthly phone bill? Why are you getting frustrated when our partner Mint Mobile has plans as low as $15 a month that give you unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network? Stop getting frustrated with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and go to trymintmobile.com/JT Sports and description and pin comment down below to get access to premium wireless for only $15 a month. That's only $15 a month. Switching to Mint is easy. It only takes 15 minutes to do. If you're pissed off with how much you pay for your monthly phone bill, switch to Mint Mobile today and go to trymintmobile.com/JT Sports in description and pin comment down below to get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Stop getting upset with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and switch to Mint Mobile today. Number 5, Bo Nix. Bo Nix had one of the biggest turnarounds in the history of college football. He was not good at Auburn. He had a subpar career. Then he goes to Oregon, and he absolutely just has I don't even know how to describe it, bro. It's just, he went from becoming an average quarterback to the best quarterback in Oregon football history. He was dynamic. He was like out throwing the football downfield. He was one of college football's most accurate quarterbacks. The thing with Bo Nix is that how much of that was a testament to how good of the talent he had around him, and how much of that also was a testament to how good of the play calling he was able to get. Because Bo Nix, in the NFL, many people view him as a more athletic, stronger version of Johnny Manziel, and maybe he could be what we all thought Johnny Manziel would be in the National Football League, at least those who were fans of him. Bo Nix, he's able to improvise, he gets outside the pocket, he can buy time for guys to get open, he's a really good runner. That's something that I don't think gets talked about him enough. If you're looking at a quarterback who you can utilize as part of your run game, on QB powers, read options, zone reads, you definitely can utilize Bo Nix in that way. Another thing that I like about Bo Nix is that he's really accurate in the short intermediate passing game. If you want to operate a quick passing offense, Bo Nix, he definitely is somebody that loves dumping the ball out to his running backs. He definitely loves taking what the defense gives him. He doesn't really put the ball in harm's way. Going back to his time at Oregon, there weren't too many throws I've seen Bo Nix made that were boneheaded decisions. If he threw an interception, maybe he misjudged. You know, if a wide receiver was open, maybe he just threw the ball just a tad bit too late. But I really like Bo Nix. If he was to get drafted in the first round, I wouldn't be upset with it, even though I view him more as a second round pick, because his upside, I don't think is that high enough to warrant him being the first round pick. I definitely do think that right now he could come in and maybe in the year be a top 15 QB and at best be a top 10 quarterback. But I just don't really see elite superstar top 5 level ceiling out of a guy like Bo Nix. And his floor, I think he could be as bad as Kenny Pickett. That's how bad Bo Nix can be. I saw that Washington game, and it was really rocky, especially in the Pac-12 championship. The second time they faced off against each other, he had a really slow start to that game. There were a lot of balls being thrown in the dirt. I don't know just how truly accurate he is throwing the football downfield. A lot of Oregon's offense was predicated off short passes. But if you can get him outside the pocket, you get him going with play-action rollouts, bootlegs, I really think that's how you can get Bo Nix comfortable, and that's how you can get the best out of him. And that's when he was at his best, at least in my opinion, when he was playing for Oregon. So he comes in at number 5. Number 4 is Spencer Rattler. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to get riled up about this. You're going to disagree with this. But Spencer Rattler, a few years ago, going into his second season at Oklahoma, was arguably projected to be either the second or first overall pick in the draft a few years back. Now, his time at Oklahoma, year 2, didn't end on a high note. He got benched for Caleb Williams, but he goes to South Carolina, and he improved. South Carolina just didn't have a lot of talent around them. You know, like, they had a few wide receivers, but they struggled to stay healthy. And the offensive line was always a travesty. Every single year, Spencer Rattler was underneath center. But when you look at what Spencer Rattler did well this past season for South Carolina, when he had time to throw the football, he threw a really nice deep ball. And I do think that he has pretty good accuracy. The problem with it is that his accuracy can be hit or miss, and he can be a little bit all over the place. He has a really rambunctious playing style where it's just chaos at times, and you want him to be more controlled in the NFL. Can he be a little bit more structured with his playing style? Because there are times when he just tries to do a little bit too much and it gets him in trouble, and there are times when he just doesn't have the right footwork. He just gets a little bit off balance with just a little bit of pressure in his face. He's not really one of the best quarterbacks at handling pressure. And he's not a great athlete. He ran a 4.95 in the 40-yard dash. Now, he's going to be a lot faster in game. He has faster game speed than that. He's not really one of those burners. He's one of those more shifty quarterbacks that just knows how to make you miss because he's a little nimble. He's a little elusive. Spencer Rattler, though, you look at this upside that he has one of the best arms in this draft. And I read a few scouting reports that said that he didn't have a good arm. Like, that's crazy to me. Spencer Rattler knows how to throw the football from all kinds of different body angles. He has really good arm talent. And arm talent, the difference between that and arm strength is that arm strength is just how far can you throw the football. Arm talent is, can you throw the ball from different body angles? Can you throw the ball from the opposite hash on the right side of the field when you're running towards your left? That's what arm talent is. Spencer Rattler has that. And if he goes to the right team with the right head coach, I really believe that Spencer Rattler could be one of the biggest steals of this draft. You just don't go from being arguably a number 1, number 2 pick, and then all of a sudden you just have no talent at all, the talent definitely is there for Spencer Rattler to be an elite quarterback. If he was projected to get drafted that high a few years ago, that means that there were some physical traits that were there that people still see. He isn't the most physically imposing guy, but he's a really good pure thrower of the ball. And he's not one of those guys that you're going to have to invest a lot of money into early. You're not going to have to throw him out there. You leave him on the bench for a year or two. If you're a team such as the Los Angeles Rams that has a guy like Matthew Stafford that's starting to get a little bit older and you're wondering when he's going to hang it up, Spencer Rattler would be a really good fit. Hell, even the New York Jets, let him learn behind Aaron Rodgers. Spencer Rattler, he's going to be one of the most successful quarterbacks in this draft, in my opinion, just because he's going to have the luxury of not getting drafted to a bad situation like how a lot of these guys are going to get drafted into. So Spencer Rattler comes in at number 4 for me. Number 3, starting out my top 3, I have Drake Maye. Drake Maye, I am a lot lower on him now, post-combine, than I was a few months ago, only because the more I watched Drake Maye, the less I came away impressed. And at the start of this past season, he looked really good. He had a pretty good game against Minnesota, a really nice outing against South Carolina despite the interceptions. But you look at how he played against Duke and Virginia, those were really tough games to watch. And Drake Maye is definitely in that boom or bust category because on one end, you see a dude who is able to do everything that Caleb Williams can do. He can extend plays, maybe not to the extent that Caleb Williams can, but he can still buy time for guys to get open. He is also able to throw the ball from different body angles. He has very good arm strength, and he's very tough. And his toughness could cost him in the NFL if he doesn't get a little bit smarter with how he chooses to manage the amount of hits that he takes. Because I call him baby Josh Allen. Josh Allen plays like caution to the wind, and Drake Maye plays the same way, but he doesn't have the same frame that Josh Allen has. He's still a big guy, but not as big as what Josh Allen is. He's a little bit more lankier than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a little bit more, I won't say swoller, but just a little bit more fatter on the bones, if you get what I'm trying to say. So Drake Maye, having that kind of Josh Allen skill set for a guy of his size, I don't really know if that's going to lead to him having a long career in the National Football League if he doesn't get a little bit smarter with the amount of hits that he takes. Another thing with Drake Maye is that sometimes, like Caleb Williams, he would try to do a little bit too much instead of taking what the defense gives him. And at UNC, they didn't have great receivers. They also didn't have a good offensive line. It's like nearly every drop back against Virginia and Duke, he was damn near running for his life. If you give him a clean pocket, he has the ability to go through his progressions. But when things aren't going well and things get chaotic up front for him, that's when he just tries to get the ball out fast, and that's when we start seeing a lot of erratic footwork, balls getting put in the dirt when guys are wide open on 5-yard drags and slants. So he's a really erratic player. He has a lot of big splash plays. There was one game that I watched when he threw a 40-yard fadeaway touchdown. There were so many jaw-dropping throws that Drake Maye made that I definitely understand why people make the argument for him being just as good as Caleb Williams. But with just how inconsistent he is and him being more inconsistent this past year than what Caleb Williams was, Caleb Williams only had 2 bad games. Drake Maye, the middle portion of 2023 were a lot of rough games for him. And just with Caleb Williams, he's just more controlled. Drake Maye, this dude is like a spark plug. You just don't know what the hell you're going to get. It's just so chaotic. But he's not as chaotic as Spencer Rattler, which is why I have him above Spencer Rattler. And the ceiling is definitely super high for Drake Maye. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Drake Maye came right out the gate and looked like a top 10 quarterback. He definitely has every arsenal in his toolbox to have one of those kinds of careers that could get him a gold jacket, just like Caleb Williams. And there's not a single throw that Caleb Williams can make that Drake Maye can't make himself. But it's just that you have a little bit more concerns with Drake Maye because of the inconsistencies, because of the fact that, he is somebody who has one of those caution to the wrist play styles. Just don't really know how to really project how his career is going to pan out in the NFL. And out of all these QBs who has to go to a great situation, who's going to get drafted in the top 5 or top 10, I think for Drake Maye, the situation he lands at is going to be so vital to his success in the NFL. Jayden Daniels, I have at number 2. And I might as well reveal number 1, Caleb Williams. Jayden Daniels has improved so much over the last couple of years. And even at Arizona State, when he was a true freshman, there were some mock drafts ahead of time that was saying that he could be a first-round pick potentially. He looks really fantastic running the football. He's getting a lot of comparisons to Lamar Jackson. I understand why, because they both are really elusive. They kind of have like that joystick kind of movement. But I don't think he's as twitchy as what Lamar is. Lamar is one of one. Jayden Daniels is a little bit of a few notches below what Lamar Jackson is as a runner. But that still doesn't mean that he's not going to be a elite run threat in the NFL. He definitely is going to be one of those QBs that can get to over 100 yards per game at an instance. You saw that game against Florida that he had not too long ago last year. The dude ran for over 200 yards. It was a game against Ole Miss when he carried the team. Jayden Daniels was literally carrying LSU. And they didn't have the best offensive line. They had great receivers, but the offensive line was a work in progress. Jayden Daniels, to me, with how improved he is as a thrower from the pocket, he's getting more comfortable moving inside of the pocket, stepping away from pressure, stepping up in the pocket. I definitely think that he's good enough to be a day one starter. It may be a little bit rocky, but he definitely can improve as the year progresses. And a team like the Las Vegas Raiders will be a great fit for him. He already has a lot of chemistry with Antonio Pierce because they were with each other back when Antonio Pierce was on the coaching staff of Herm Edwards when he was at Arizona State and he was still their head coach. So Jayden Daniels, I would love for the Raiders to go ahead and trade up and draft him. He would be a great fit. They've been looking for a franchise quarterback for years. You thought you had that in Derek Carr. He was a really good quarterback, but I wouldn't really consider him a franchise quarterback because he wasn't the kind of quarterback who could win you a Super Bowl. Jayden Daniels is the kind of quarterback that if he reaches his ceiling, he's good enough that potentially he could be going toe-to-toe with a guy like a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes in his division if he goes to the Raiders. But that's if he reaches his potential. But I don't think that Jayden Daniels' floor is that low. I think his floor is what Justin Fields is right now. And Justin Fields is what? Top 20 quarterback at worst. But his high-end ceiling or his high-end upside for me is going to be Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a dual threat quarterback and he can not only run the football at a really high level, but he can throw the football at a really high level. And that's what you could possibly see out of Jayden Daniels. He's also way more of an explosive runner than what Caleb Williams is. Now, Caleb Williams is undisputedly my number one quarterback. Last year, it was 1A, 1B with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. But the gap between Caleb Williams and everybody else in this draft class, I just think is so large that we really shouldn't be discussing if Caleb Williams has any competition in this draft because he's one of one. He definitely is a generational quarterback. We're not going to find too many quarterbacks like him that are a refined version of Patrick Mahomes. Drake Maye, yeah, he has all of the ability to make the same kind of throws and plays that Caleb Williams can make, but he's not as refined as what Caleb Williams is. Caleb Williams doesn't have as many turnovers. He's better at going through reads than what Drake Maye is. And he's just very smooth. He's a very smooth player. He has a really good understanding of the game, really good instincts, has a really good feel for when the pressure is around him. And he just always seems to know where to go with the football. Every time he's getting outside the pocket, he's just finding guys open. He's a playmaker. He's like prime Russell Wilson mixed in with a little bit of Patrick Mahomes. It's just, he just finds ways to make the impossible throws look fucking possible. That's the best way I can put it. And also, when he runs the ball, he looks a lot like Jalen Hurts, but a little bit more shiftier. Jalen Hurts, he has a really different running style from what Lamar and Jayden Daniels have. Jayden Daniels and Lamar Jackson are quarterbacks that they get into the open field, they're going to put a couple of moves on you. Jalen Hurts gets into the open field. Yeah, he may put a move or two on you, but he's not as agile. Caleb Williams, he's kind of like Jalen Hurts. He's more of a power runner, but he does have a little finesse in his game. And although he may look 6'1" and may not light up the department when you look at his weight, but you also look at him on the field and pass, the dude does look pretty built. He does look like he's built like a running back. So even though he may just be a tad bit undersized at 6'1", the dude still is built to be able to sustain enough hits that he can make it through an NFL season without having to worry about his durability. He truly is a generational talent. I think that he's been getting way too much hate, and people just have prospect fatigue because there's been so many high expectations placed upon Caleb Williams, and this is just what you expect when you see a quarterback with this kind of hype. But I definitely believe that he should live up to the billing. He definitely can handle the expectations, and I'm ready to see what he does in the NFL. But these are my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2024 NFL draft. Leave your comments and opinions down in the comment section down below. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to disagree with me, but we're going to see if I'm right 3 to 4 years from now or if I'm wrong.